Welcome to my YouTube channel Sushantreddy. Every week, I present my life lessons as an entrepreneur in sales, human psychology, and wealth creation. In the last episode, I discussed patience and the power law. I introduced power law as something that follows the formula y equals mx raised to the power p. The formula signifies how the output y changes with the input x and the exponent p. Exponent b is what gives power to the power law. We looked at some high school physics concepts to demonstrate the second, third, and fourth order power laws. We then said that the universe has given only one nth order power law, and that is known as compound interest. We defined patience as the belief in the eventual manifestation of the power law. We said that patience has to respect the two universal laws of power law. The first is that result of activities that follow the power law take time to manifest. And the second, once results start to trickle in, they grow rapidly within a short period of time. So for a long time, there is no visible change. And when change comes eventually, it comes like a tsunami. Patience is the ability to not give up at a point where results look least likely to happen. Ironically, it is at this point that result is most likely to happen. Now in this episode, I look at another practically important topic for every entrepreneur, both young and experienced. And that is patience versus procrastination. When is being patient a good thing and when does it turn into procrastination? What exactly is procrastination? To answer all these questions, let's jump into this important topic. Now, all of us at some point in time face a decision that looks something like, should I do this now or should I wait on this? And if I have to wait, then for how long? Mostly we look at advice from parents, spouse, friends, and then apply our own intuition to arrive at a decision and get on with life. Now, for all the Avengers fans out there, in the Infinity War, Doctor Strange looks ahead in time at 14,605 possible scenarios. Unfortunately, none of us has the ability to look into the future to identify what would have been the outcome had we waited or not waited. Surely, we can come up with a framework to make a decision whether to wait on something or whether to do it right away. Let's take a few examples. Most entrepreneurs have a tendency to make a great product before they start selling. This phenomenon is so widespread at workplaces and startups that there are a lot of Dilbert jokes on this topic. This is one of my favorite. Second, should I start investing now or enjoy life now and look at investing once I hit 30? Third, my job sucks, but I'm waiting till the market improves and a right opportunity presents itself. Fourth, should I join a startup now or wait till there are some savings in my bank account? These are very common and significant decision points in everyone's life. To answer this, we need to first understand the concept of procrastination. Webster defines procrastination as to put off intentionally the doing of something that should be done. Now, I have a problem with this definition because it gives rise to more questions than answers. Who defines what should be done? How to choose one over the other? What if I have two equally important activities that need to be done? How do I know when something should be done? Is it procrastinating if I do it one day or 1 week or 1 month later? Who defines the time frame? Since this definition makes it so confusing, like most things in the dictionary, this, to my mind, goes into the garbage dump. We need to go back to the first principles and study the life history of people to get a more practical, usable definition for procrastination. Procrastination and patience have one thing in common, that's their tendency to bide time. You're waiting for the right time and the right opportunity in both cases. It's what you do while you're waiting is what makes all the difference. To know the answers, we go back to the first principles of the power law because that's where our answer lies. Any activity that we do has three possibilities of power law. One, a positive power law where outcomes increase over time. The examples of this are knowledge, investment, product, love, exercise, and honesty. The more time you spend on the activity, the greater is the outcome of that activity, and the greater is the growth in that activity. A negative or an inverse power law is where outcomes get worse over time. Examples of an inverse power law are debt, emotions such as envy, anger, greed, eating junk and unhealthy food, misleading or shortchanging people, customers, friends, family, and so on. The more time you spend on this activity, the deeper mess you get into. As time goes on, it takes more and more time, energy, and effort to invert a negative power law. And then there are activities that neither have a consistently upward or downward trajectory of outcomes. Such activities tend to follow the zero power law because there is no underlying power law in these activities. Most short-term dopamine generating activities fall into this category. Dopamine is the chemical that creates feelings of pleasure and reward in your brain. Examples are spending time on mechanical, repetitive tasks or maintaining transactional relationships. In business schools, there's a fancy term for this transactional relationship called networking. People spend a lot of time meeting people and collecting business cards with no real purpose, intent, or objective. Spending time on social platforms, Netflix, gaming are all activities where there is no underlying power law at play. When you're biding time on an activity that follows a positive power law, patience becomes a virtue. The two rules for good patience are: 1. The activity should be consistently done. 2. The outcomes of that activity need to follow a positive power law. Example, if you're taking constant user feedback to improve the product over multiple iterations, that's an activity that is both consistent and the outcomes of that activity follow the power law. On the contrary, when you're biding time on an activity that follows the negative power law or the inverse power law, patience becomes your enemy. The same two rules apply in a bad patience scenario. 1. Activity is consistent, and 2. The outcome of an activity follows a power law, but it is the inverse power law. Example, if you're raising more and more debt to run your business, you're getting into deeper and deeper trouble as time goes by. Procrastination is biding time on an activity that does not follow a power law, either positive or negative. Procrastination is usually considered bad because it kills time and takes away time from activities with positive power law. So let's take an example to understand the difference between procrastination and patience. Let's say you're biding time to quit a job and start a new company. You're waiting for your annual bonus before you quit. Now, the two questions that you need to answer is there an underlying activity you're doing consistently while biding time? The answer is no, you're not doing anything while biding time. Second, is there any power law applicable to the underlying activity? Since you're not doing any activity, there's no question of a power law being applicable on that activity. So the answer is no. Based on the first principles, there's no activity and then there's no power law. What you're doing is procrastination. Let's take the same scenario but in a different way. Let's say you're biding time to interview prospective clients to understand their requirements before you quit and start your company. Now, in this case, is there an underlying activity that you're doing consistently while biding time? Yes, you are. You're meeting prospective clients of your new business. You're interviewing them. You're getting their feedback consistently. So you're engaging in an activity that is consistent while you're biding time. Second, does the underlying activity follow the power law? Yes. What you're gaining is specific knowledge on your market segment and understanding the needs of your customers. Knowledge always follows a positive power law. So yes, you're doing an activity that is consistent, and second, that activity follows a positive power law. In this scenario, you're demonstrating patience and not resorting to procrastination. While both scenarios for an outsider look the same, i.e., you're biding time to quit your job and start a company, in one scenario, you're procrastinating. In another scenario, you're being patient. And there's a huge difference between the two. Going back to the examples we started our discussion with, procrastination is waiting till you build out all the features before you start selling. Patience is selling what you already have, collecting more feedback, and coming up with a better product that takes into account that user feedback. Procrastination is waiting till you earn $250,000 before you start donating to a cause. Patience is to start with $50 a month and start being part of a cause and progressively increase your donation as your salary goes to $250,000. Procrastination is waiting till you turn 30 before you start investing. Patience is to start investing $100 and learn the art of investing and increase your stakes once you hit 30. So to summarize, each activity can have a positive, negative, or zero power law at play. When you're doing an activity, you need to be conscious of whether there's an underlying power law here or not. Biding time on an activity with positive power law is a good form of patience. Opposite is also true. Biding time on an activity with negative power law makes patience your enemy. Procrastination is biding time on an activity with zero power law. There's no underlying power law at play. Procrastination is considered harmful because it takes away time from activities with positive power law. To differentiate patience from procrastination, identify two things. One, is the underlying action consistent? Two, does that action follow a positive power law? If both are true, you're exhibiting patience. Else, you're procrastinating. Thanks for watching. For weekly videos, you can subscribe to my channel or to my newsletter on sushantreddy.com. Stay safe and I'll see you the next week.